Baked goods have always been my weakness. I love just walking into a cafe and getting the most unique and decadent treat that I can find. But we all know those have hundreds of calories and virtually no protein. What if I told you, though, that we can make high protein, low calorie versions of your favorite treats that are still just as delicious? Hi, if you're new here, I'm Amanda, aka Fit Food AE, and today we're going to be making 15 high protein baked goods that have around 100 calories each or less. So let's get started, shall we? We're starting off extremely strong with Brookies. So a Brookie, it's the best thing ever. It's a cross between a brownie and a cookie. So it's basically a brownie with like a cookie layer on top, and it is just so good. So we're gonna make the brownie layer first. So you're gonna mix everything together. I forgot to add the Monkfruit sweetener first. That's why I mixed it and then added the Monkfruit sweetener after. But you're gonna wanna add it, even though you get the sweetness from the protein powder, you still wanna add some monk fruit. And then, yeah, you're gonna have to mix it for a while until it becomes like super smooth. Just make sure all the chunks are out of there. And don't worry if it looks like pretty viscous. That's how brownies are supposed to be. And then we're gonna make the cookie layer. So when you first mix everything together, it might be a little bit crumbly. So you can add a bit of unsweetened almond milk and you can kind of just use your hands. But yeah, just basically put everything together. By the way, I know I'm going to get comments being like, oh, can I replace the light margarine with applesauce? If you do, it's going to be hella spongy, okay? Like you can't always replace the butter with applesauce. That's why I replace regular butter with light margarine to lower the calories. And sometimes I'll combine it with applesauce, but not this time. So yeah, it's going to look a little bit crumbly, but then just add a little bit of unsweetened almond milk. You're good to go. And then for the chocolate chips, you might have to use your hands to kind of hold everything together. So you'll notice I'm using a low pan. That's because I thought I had like a square pan, but I didn't. So we're making it in a low pan. It makes 8 brookies. If you make it in one of those rectangular ones, you can actually make it into 9 brookies if you want. But yeah, you're basically going to pour the brownie layer. And then for the cookie layer, you're actually going to make like little blobs like this and then just put it on the top. Just make sure to use your hands to kind of blob it together. Then you're going to bake it. I put it in for about 25 minutes and then I actually put it in for a few minutes longer after using a fork to make sure the fork came out clean. It didn't come out clean the first time, so I just baked it for a bit longer. And then you want to let it cool because again, if you don't let it cool, they might still be a bit underbaked, but I personally like them a little bit underbaked. I know a lot of you might be like, oh, they look raw or whatever, but I like them to be gooey. I don't like them to be dry and weird. You know what's weird? The cookie part kind of looks like a globe, you know, like the earth. Anyway, I don't know if people understand what I'm saying, but look at how good that looks. Oh my God, it's so chocolatey and delicious. You could even add like a few more of the semi-sweet chocolate chips in there, but personally, I think this was like honestly great. They taste really sweet. Like honestly, these are very much on the sweeter side. So if you are not the kind of person that likes super sweet desserts, maybe skip this one. But if that's you, you're weird and you shouldn't be watching this. No, I'm kidding. But I'm pretty sure like I made this recipe yesterday and I've already almost devoured all of them.
They're so good every single time.
Next up, we've got brownie balls. So I got this idea from TikTok. This girl, like Elle Gibson or Ellie or something like that, she made these like banana bread brownie balls or blondie. I don't even remember. But I just saw them. I was like, those look really good, but they're definitely like super high in calories. And I think everyone thinks like okay, obviously high calorie doesn't necessarily mean unhealthy, but you know what I mean. And then I saw a couple people make lower calorie versions of them and I was like, I need to do that. So that's basically what I did. The way I kept them lower calories using like sugar-free maple syrup as well as like a combination of regular peanut butter and PP2 and not doing like the dates like she did and just like using different ingredients overall. But basically you want to keep the dough in the fridge for a little bit in order to make it less sticky. And then afterwards, you're going to roll it into balls like this. Honestly, it still kind of was a bit sticky, but then you're going to roll it into 6 balls. That's what I did. And then I kept it in the fridge for about 30 minutes in order to kind of let them harden, not harden, but you know what I mean, get together. And then you're going to mix the semi-sweet chocolate with a little bit of coconut oil and microwave it. Make sure not to burn it. And then you're going to pour it on like this rather than coating it entirely. The sea salt is a nice touch. Trust me, it's much, much needed. So what you can do is you can put them back in the fridge in order to let the chocolate harden. I just decided to eat them like this. I just wanted like the gooey chocolate like that, but you could also let them harden like they do on TikTok. Well, I saw people like doing either one, but yeah, these look so good, especially with the sweet and salty combo. They're absolutely delicious. I just feel like they glisten as well. I feel like I could make a lot of different versions of these. I could probably make banana bread flavored ones. Yeah, if you like don't care as much as the calories, of course you could like coat them all in the chocolate, but I feel like this drizzle of chocolate is honestly enough because honestly the brownie balls on their own, even without the chocolate drizzle, they're really, really sweet and delicious. Like I was literally licking the batter off my hands. But yeah, I absolutely love these. And I'm going to go have one after I record this voiceover. So yeah. Third recipe we've got are sugar cookies. Now, people might comment and be like, oh, those aren't sugar cookies. They're just regular cookies. I mean, they're cookies with pink frosting. So I call them sugar cookies. And then they have monk fruit in them. So by the way, I use brown monk fruit, which I think are better for cookies personally. Also, for all these recipes, you know I use Pea Science Whey Casein Blend for protein. It is the best for baking. I would highly recommend using this. I use vanilla, or cake pop rather, actually, for all these recipes, but you could use vanilla or kind of whatever lighter protein you have on hand. If you want to purchase from PE Science, please use my discount code FIT15. But otherwise, if you just use whey, it'll probably still work. People in my comments have said it works. But yeah, comment below if you end up using something other than PE Science. But basically, you need to store the dough in the fridge for 30 minutes. Otherwise, it's going to spread out too much. And then kind of roll it into balls and just press on it a little bit. Don't press on it too much. But yeah, putting it in the fridge helps with it not spreading out. And then you're going to bake them. By the way, they're not going to be super orange once they bake, so don't worry about that. And then we're going to make the frosting anyway. So I use this Swerve powdered sugar. So it's like a 0-calorie powdered sugar. Works wonders for frosting. And then you're going to start mixing it all together, but you're going to have to add a little bit of water gradually. So don't add too much. Just add it a little bit gradually and then just wait until it forms a consistency like this. There we go. That's the frosting consistency we want. And then I added a bit of red food coloring because I wanted the pink frosting because that screams sugar cookie to me. And then this is just like the perfect pink color. I just added a little bit of red food coloring. Let the cookies cool. When you take them out, you're going to be like, oh, they look still raw. No, just let them cool for like 15 minutes and then you're good to go frost them. I literally just put it in a Ziploc bag and then cut the bottom like that. You could use an actual piping bag, but it's not necessary. And then I just put it in a little circle. I'm not very good at it. You don't have to do this. You could just like spread it on, but I just wanted it to look pretty for my YouTube thumbnail because I'm posting this on the internet. So yeah, but this looks really good. The fact that it's pink frosting makes it look even more delicious, even though it tastes the exact same. My frosting skills kind of remind me of, you know, all my Canadians, like the Tim Hortons, when they give out the cookies that are like the Camp Day cookies and the frosting is all like distorted. Like that's what my frosting skills remind me of. I don't know. They look kind of cute. I think some of them look better than others, but yeah, these are really good and delicious. And the way that I would store them is actually I would keep them in the fridge. Honestly, a lot of these desserts, like even the brownies, like they taste really good out of the fridge, or you can air fry them, but I just prefer it that way. And I just sprinkled a bit of monk fruit on it as well. You could also sprinkle a bit of sea salt if you like the sweet and salty combo. Yeah, they look so delicious and golden. Again, do not replace all the light margarine with applesauce or these will turn out spongy.
Look at how pretty these are.
Next up, we've got a recipe that broke the internet. This is my vanilla cupcake recipe. These are so good. My previous taste tester, who no longer lives here, if you catch my drift, he said that these taste like store-bought cupcakes. So you heard it here first. Honestly, I think the ingredient that makes these better than all the other cupcake recipes I've seen is the fat-free Jello pudding mix. And I know that my UK people are going to be like, I don't have that. You could use custard powder instead, or you could use 1 gram of xanthan gum just to give it that thickness. But yeah, basically for the sprinkles, I use like the bulb sprinkles. I like those a lot better. And then just make sure they're all even. Make sure you don't overbake the cupcakes as well. And then while they're baking and cooling, you can make the frosting. Again, I use the fat-free pudding mix for the frosting. I just think it makes it thicker and more delicious. And then whenever you're making frosting, just make sure to add a little bit of water as needed until thick and creamy. You don't want to add too much because then it's going to be watery and you're going to be like, oh no. But yeah, I decided to make the frosting white. You could also make it a color. And then again, I use like an actual piping bag for this, but you don't need to do that. You could just put it in a Ziploc bag. But I think that maybe the reason this recipe got so many views like the first time is because I just made the frosting so pretty. I was actually really good at it this time. But yeah, honestly, these are like one of the best dessert recipes I've ever made. And then I obviously decided to make more cupcakes after that. The macros are amazing on these two, like 90 calories and 12 grams of protein. That's like over 10 grams of protein per 100 calories. And then of course we're going to add more sprinkles on top, and these just look so aesthetically pleasing and delicious. And next up, we've got chocolate cupcakes. So this is basically just variation. Obviously, we're using a bit of different ingredients like the cocoa powder. I just use Hershey's cocoa powder. You could also use like pretty much any cocoa powder that you have access to. I don't even know. It's not specific. But yeah, basically what keeps these high in protein is a non-fat Greek yogurt and the egg whites. You could also use an actual egg as well. I feel like that would turn out just fine. Make sure to mix it all together very thoroughly and get rid of all the clumps. And then you're basically the same thing here. The recipe makes 6 cupcakes. Obviously, make sure to not overfill, which you won't if you follow the recipe correctly and if you use a muffin tin similar to mine. You could also make like mini muffins if you want. But yeah, I just make sure to even out everything with my fingers. You could even like wet your fingers as well if it makes it easier. And then you're gonna make the chocolate frosting. So for the 0-calorie powdered sugar, Swerve makes one, and like Lakanto makes one as well. So you use either of those, or if you really want to, you can use regular powdered sugar, but that defeats the purpose, doesn't it? But look at how delicious and thick this chocolate frosting looks. And then the cupcakes turned out so well. Honestly, these frosting thingies, like frosting bags, like they're kind of a pain in the ass to wash. Like you could put them in the dishwasher, but I feel like they don't wash very well, which is why I just use like the Ziploc bags. But it does turn out really well, doesn't it? And it came with like so many different frosting tips, like a million of them. I was like, oh my God, like if I was an actual baker, I feel like actual bakers use that and I am not. But yeah, I frost this pretty well. Like it's piled pretty high, which is good. But I feel like when the frosting looks better, it tastes better. And lastly, for the cupcakes, we've got lemon. So I love lemon flavored things. I feel like they're just superior. This is kind of similar to the Funfetti ones, except we're adding lemon juice, of course. And that's what gives it like the lemony flavor. And then we're also going to add lemon zest. So lemon zest is important because I feel like with just the lemon juice, you're not going to get the lemon flavor that you want. In order to get lemon zest, you just take a lemon and you use a cheese grater, and then you grate the sides of the lemon. Just be sure to be careful and not grate your fingers off. But yeah, basically you just get like around a teaspoon of that. It's kind of hard to measure lemon zest as a teaspoon, but yeah, it's basically what you do. And then for the frosting, you kind of do the same thing. So do the lemon juice and the zest, and they'll taste very lemony and fresh and very summery. Well, actually, I feel like I first made this recipe in April. So, but yeah, basically same step here. You're just gonna make the frosting until it turns out nice and thick. And then you got the lemon cupcakes. These look like a little bit yellow, which is good. And then you're gonna frost them. And I also added a bit of lemon zest on the top just to make it scream like, hey, these are lemon cupcakes. So you could add that, or you could add like yellow sprinkles, that sort of thing. But yeah, I feel like these are great to bring to like a little picnic or potluck or something like that. I feel like now that we're approaching fall, maybe people don't want lemon cupcakes as much, but I don't know. I feel like these could be eaten all year round. Next up, we've got classic chocolate chip brownies. So these have under 70 calories each, and they're so delicious and fudgy. So they're one bowl recipe, which is great. You're just going to mix everything together. Just do the dry ingredients first and the wet. You're supposed to obviously mix the dry ingredients first to avoid clumping. And then the wet, sometimes I forget, but this one I was pretty good. I feel like I could have used a bigger bowl for this recipe. But yeah, for the chocolate chips, you'll notice I always do mini chocolate chips, and that's because I like the chocolates just be like evenly distributed throughout. I usually add most of the chocolate chips in the batter and then some of them on top. That square baking tin, the 8x8 one, I don't know where that went. I think I must have lost it when I moved from Burnaby to my current place. I don't even know. But anyway, you can get yourself one of those. They would be best for the brownies, but otherwise just use a loaf pan if that's what you want. So I bake them for 20 minutes. Again, you don't want to over bake them because then they might be dry. I just prefer them to be on the gooey side, and then if anything, you can just put them in for a bit longer. But yeah, let them cool for a bit and then cut them. Make sure to get a good knife. And what I usually do to make them even is I'll just put you could use a measuring tape, but then you could just do like little slits to kind of measure with your eyes, if that makes sense. But yeah, these are glistening and delicious. You could also add a bit of sea salt on there if you want a sweet and salty combo. You could add some like Biscoff in there as well if you want to go crazy. But yeah, you can even eat the whole tray for around 600 calories. So who ate cosmic brownies as a kid? Like the Little Debbie ones? Those were so good. Now, I can't guarantee these are going to taste exactly like the Little Debbie ones, but they are sure as well close. They're nice and fudgy and delicious. You're going to mix everything together. So I guess this is a 2-bowl recipe because you're using the other bowl to make the frosting. But yeah, similar ingredients to the other frosting, and then just add a little bit of cold water and make the frosting nice and thick. And then once it's fully cooled, you're gonna add it to a cooling rack, or you could just put it on a plate. I don't even know where these cooling racks went, but for the frosting, you're just gonna use a butter knife. Honestly, that's really the best thing. And then just do like the bulb sprinkles. You need to use the bulb sprinkles because then otherwise they're not gonna look like the Little Debbie brownies. And then you're gonna cut them into 9. Honestly, I didn't do that great of a job at measuring it here. I feel like the outer ones are smaller than the middle ones, but that's okay. And these look so good and thick and delicious, and they have like 70 calories each, which is absolutely crazy. If you want, you could add chocolate chips, but I feel like these taste amazing without them. Pumpkin cream cheese bites are next. So we're gonna make the crust first. Basically just like this little thin layer, and then you're gonna put it in a muffin tin. I didn't use the like muffin tin liners. I just sprayed it with cooking spray, and then you're gonna press it down with your fingers and then bake that first. Now for cream cheese bites, you can make pumpkin ones, you can make like pretty much anything, but I figured since it's October, we're gonna make pumpkin ones. And I included these in a previous video as well, but I wanted to include it in this video because I just think it's a great versatile recipe, and it's under 100 calories. And there's so many cheesecake type of baked goods in bakeries. Now, I always like to use an electric mixer to make my cheesecake recipes. Otherwise, like it's gonna be clumpy and it's not gonna be good. And electric mixer just makes it a lot better and fluffy. So it's gonna be nice and light and fluffy like this. And then you're just gonna put it in the muffin tins and bake. And this looks so good. You have to store them, and you have to let them cool first and then store them in the fridge. Don't eat them hot. That's just gonna taste gross. But yeah, that's basically what you do to make them nice and thick. And then I added that drizzle on top with the powdered monk fruit and water, and then some cinnamon. You don't need to do that. I mostly just did it for presentation, but these look so nice and good and thick. And again, you kind of make any flavor. It doesn't need to be pumpkin, but these are a great like low calorie treat. You could honestly eat like the entire batch for like 500 calories if you really wanted to. Donuts are up next. So these are chocolate glazed donuts, and they remind me a lot of the ones from Tim Hortons. By the way, guys, I have a cookbook, as you can see in the background. It's called Lean Treats. It has 50 high protein, low calorie dessert recipes. You can buy it. The link is in the description. Anyways, mix everything together just in one bowl. Super easy. You're gonna mix it until it's nice and thick and everything is well mixed and it's nice and chocolatey. And then you're gonna use one of these silicone donut molds. So it's linked in my Amazon store. Again, the link is in the description. And then I kind of just like blob the like batter in, and then I just smooth it out after and make sure most of them are even. You could also use the back of a wet spoon to spread it out. I find that that's the easiest thing to do. And then afterwards, you're gonna bake them. Again, make sure to not over bake. If you think you underbaked, you could just stick a fork in there to make sure it comes out clean. And then we're gonna make the glaze. So just a little bit of that 0-calorie powdered sugar with the unsweetened almond milk or water. Make sure the donuts are cool, by the way, and then just dip them in like that. Don't over dip them. Just dip them and then just let the glaze cool and harden, and they're gonna look nice and delicious, just like the Tim Hortons ones. And these are so good. I feel like donuts get a bad rep. They're pretty hard to make, like high protein, low calorie, and honestly, like donuts are typically fried, right? So they're obviously not going to taste like the exact same, but I feel like these are pretty damn close, and they only have just over 100 calories each. Another delicious donut recipe, cinnamon sugar. So these are similar, just using like obviously cinnamon and then like the vanilla protein. Comment below. I would love to know like what protein people are using. I know a lot of people use P-Science, which is amazing, and they use my code, which is also amazing, but I know some people don't have access to it or just like don't have it. So comment below and tell me like what protein you use, if it's whey, if it's the whey casein blend. But yeah, I use another silicone donut mold here. I had a nice cute red one. These are pretty cheap on Amazon, by the way. Can you make the donuts without the silicone donut mold? I don't think so. I don't know what other way. I guess you could use like the back of a muffin tin, but then the circle will be too big. But yeah, I just use a bit of monk fruit and cinnamon here. You can spray with cooking spray in order to get it to stick, or you could use like a little bit of unsweetened almond milk. And then just make sure to not overdo it. Like just put a little bit, just like press it down once and then you're good. And these look so good and nice and cinnamon sugary. They kind of remind me of like the Tiny Tom donuts, except they're not tiny, but you know the ones that you get from a fair. I feel like though it gives like that vibe, and they're nice and sweet and sugary and airy and light. And 6 donuts is perfect. You can like store them in the fridge for a few days, and then when you're ready to eat them, you can either air fry them or you can just like leave them out on the counter. Okay, we got a Starbucks copycat recipe here. Pumpkin cream cheese donut. So I use the PE Sides pumpkin protein. You could still get your hands on this. You should, because it is great for seasonal recipes. They just make like a limited edition batch each year. But yeah, I love this recipe because basically the pumpkin cream cheese muffins at Starbucks have like, I don't know, triple or quadruple the calories. And obviously they're a little bit bigger, but we just want like a lower calorie version to satisfy our sweet tooth. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making this recipe. So I use cupcake liners this time. You don't necessarily need to, but you're going to put the batter in. You're going to make sure it's even. And then you're going to add the cream cheese and like a little dollop on top. And then just press it in a little bit. Honestly, super simple. And then it kind of just bakes into the muffin. Yeah, look at how delicious that looks. I just love a little Starbucks copycat recipe because a lot of those baked goods just have so many calories and they do not fill you. So sometimes you just need like a little miniature version, like a little mini treat. Also, I meant to make 4 muffins, but I ended up making 6, but it kind of worked out because then they ended up being like around 100 calories each. So to round up the video, we got a few cookie recipes. So I feel like there are so many crappy cookie recipes on the internet, again, that are like spongy and gross, or ones that like have the same amount of calories as regular cookies. But the key, so we're making the chocolate chunk cookies first. And this store in BC, it's called Chocolate Favori. I think they have one in Toronto too. They gave me their like nice, like good quality milk chocolate to put in these cookies. And I feel like it made such a big difference. But if anything, you could just use like regular chocolate chunks or chips. But yeah, basically you want to put the dough in the fridge for 30 minutes and press it down, similar to the sugar cookies, but these are so delicious and gooey. Make sure to only bake them for 9 minutes and then let them cool for like at least 15. Again, this is key. Don't overbake them because they're just going to be dry. But then obviously once you take them out, they're going to look underbaked, but you got to trust the process. And then you got to top them with some sea salt, of course. And these look so, so good and gooey. I could literally eat the entire batch in one sitting. But yeah, this is the like perfect ingredients to have like make them low calorie, but also make them like delicious and gooey and not spongy. These honestly look like little mini versions of the thick like crumble cookies, because honestly, a lot of times we don't need a big crumble cookie. We just need like a little something, which is why I love this video with all the 100-calorie treats. Next up, we've got Snickerdoodle. I meant to make these ones like dulce de leche, but they ended up being more Snickerdoodle. But yeah, basically you crush up cookies inside the batter and then use a brown monk fruit and use a combination of all those other ingredients, and obviously add cinnamon to make them more like Snickerdoodle-y. But then you're going to stuff them with Biscoff after putting the dough in the fridge, of course. What I did was I melted the Biscoff and then I actually froze it, because that way it's going to be easier to put into the middle of the cookies. So you'll see it here, like when you put the batter into the fridge, you put the Biscoff into the freezer, and then you're gonna use your fingers to kind of make a hole and then put the Biscoff in the middle like that. It might be a bit melty, but that's okay. So yeah, basically you're gonna put it in there and then roll it into a ball again. Doesn't need to be perfect. Again, it's just like a little bit of Biscoff because we wanted to make these around 100 calories. So these look so, so good. Of course, if you want to make it more like decadent, you could add more Biscoff in the middle, but basically you're going to press them down similar to the other ones, and then we're going to kind of dunk them in the monk fruit. This is key. It just makes them more decadent, but for 0 more calories. I just love the invention of 0-calorie sugar. Like, what did we do without this, honestly? But yeah, basically just dunk them like that. Just don't overdo it, just like a little bit. We don't want them to be like too overly sweet, but yeah, bake them for the same amount of time, let them cool for the same amount of time, and then you're going to be good to go. These look so, so good and So when you reach that middle part where you taste the Biscoff, oh, those are so good. And they're under 100 calories each. And these are just perfect for the holidays even. They kind of look like gingerbread cookies even though they're not. But yeah, they're so good. People have made fun of me saying like, oh, you're always like so good, so good. And like, guys, sometimes I just don't know what to say for these voiceovers, especially once I reach the end. Last recipe of the video, we've got chocolate peanut butter cookies. So again, similar kind of formula here, but we're gonna add chocolatey ingredients like unsweetened cocoa powder and chocolate protein powder. But of course, mix everything together. I think the pure pumpkin makes a big difference. It makes the cookies more like soft. Obviously, you could use like mashed banana instead, but I just like to use that. So we're gonna combine some real like peanut butter and then sugar-free maple syrup, and then freeze that. So similar to the Biscoff, like Snickerdoodle, I was gonna call them dulce leche, Snickerdoodle cookies. You're gonna freeze it just so it's easier to put in the middle, and then you're gonna roll it up into a ball. And again, if it's not perfect, that's totally fine. We just kind of want it to have more of like that peanut buttery chocolate taste. And then we're gonna press it and then bake it the same exact way. If you want to do like a cookie swap with your friends and just like bring all these cookies and then have them guess like, okay, are these lower calorie cookies or are they regular cookies? Like they're never going to know, especially those chocolate chunk ones. Like those are so good. And look at how delicious they are. I love the sweet and salty combo always, top it with sea salt, and it just makes them look a bit cooler. Look at how cool they look. They look kind of like marbly with that little peanut butter ribbon. And then yeah, the peanut butter actually turned out so well for that like middle layer, and it makes them really gooey and delicious. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this recipe, then I'm sure you're looking for more sweet treats. So I'll link another video here that you should watch next. And please be sure to give this a like, subscribe, and share with your friends, as it really helps the channel, and I post new videos every week. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.